My best regards, dear ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the scientific project online marathon 52 questions to 52 blocks. My name is Iryna Lopatiuk and I'm the scientific assistant of Dr. Maltsev, PhD, the person who rules Scientific Research Institute, Memory Institute, as well as the person who actually is responsible for this marathon and the person who has successfully investigated and researched the phenomena of 52 blocks. To start with, I would like to tell you that this very issue, this very video program is not too scientific. I'm going to speak in very easy language, very so-called colloquial language. And today I would like to acquaint you with a book we've researched. This is the book called The TAO of 52, the author D.Frazier. Well, a short word, like a small story that actually happened to me personally right before I've met this book and I've read the narration of D.Frazier. So first of all, me personally, very happy and glad to tell you guys that my boss, Dr. Oleg Maltsev, is the person who is for more than 20 years researching martial arts tradition and especially criminal tradition and criminal heritage. Dr. Oleg Maltsev is also well known for his outstanding expedition force contemporary work and results of scientific research that took place all over the world. He is the person who is actually conveying lots of research dedicated to the studies of South African criminal tradition, Spanish criminal tradition, Russian criminal tradition, and many other criminal traditions. That's why personally for me, as I'm his scientific assistant, it was somewhat actually peculiar to get to know that it's high time we've started researching Afro-American criminal tradition or substance called 52 blocks. Well, me personally, let me say, half a year ago heard nothing, literally nothing about 52 blocks and about Jailhouse Rock. And the story of my personal introduction to this interesting heritage, to this interesting fighting combat style, or as someone call it, standard of living, someone's philosophy, etc. Everything began with a very ordinary occasion. One colleague of mine, she's a journalist, her name is Tursunbayeva. So Miss Tursunbayeva showed me once very peculiar video. This video showed some mister, he is known as Big K, and that mister was demonstrating some sort of hand-to-hand or bare-hand combat style and called that 52. I was really interested in that video due to one peculiar fact. While moving his elbows, while dancing and doing some tricky stuff that is called rap sometimes, he was actually asked by some person, I guess that was a cameraman or someone else, I didn't see it in the video, and that person behind the screen, he asked him, "Oh, is that Mike Tyson's movement?" And he said, "Yeah, Mike Tyson, like this is 52. And you know, this phrase, it just exploded my mind, because I have never seen Mike Tyson doing that stuff, and that was the very first time I've heard that Mike Tyson was practicing some sort of 52. And well, I'm that very person who is researching together with Dr. Maltsev the origin of boxing style that Mike Tyson used that led him to the triumph. I'm the person who actually researched the non-compromised pendulum issues and deceptive silence issues and the others. Together with Dr. Maltsev, we've written and produced and published officially several books dedicated straightforwardly to the notion of cas de mato, outstanding style. And the name of the books are as follows. First of all, this is Non-Compromised Pendulum, this is the book number 1. And the book number 2, this is The Lightning Rod That Strikes Faster Than the Lightning Itself. These books present the results of scientific research and convey conducted by Dr. Maltsev, as well as was by people who knew Kaz D'Amato, who were his students and lived together with him in his house, and together with Mike Tyson too. By this person, literally I mean Mr. Tom Petty, politician, businessman, a very good known person in USA. So, I was so much outrageously, I don't know, like feeling weird facing this strange thing, facing this exclamation that Mike Tyson is doing something like 52. And my first idea, it was simply hype. The person was just hyping. Then I have decided to research more and to find out certain facts about 52. What's that? And I found out that actually 52 blocks, this is some sort of phenomena that earlier in the 50s and 60s of 20th century was called jailhouse rock. And as my boss, Dr. Maltsev, has started official research of the essence of 52 blocks, we had a very interesting task. First of all, we had to make the compilation of all books, newspaper entries, journal articles, internet posts, of everything ever touching the topic of 52 blocks. Of course, the very first link that I have found out was Wikipedia link, and it stands that 52 blocks or jailhouse rock, this is essential American issue, and that's great. Thank you guys that you've presented some information. But me personally wanted to find out objective books. I wanted to see the research, the scholar type of research. And you know what? I found nothing. I didn't find any scientific research dedicated to the issue of Afro-American criminal style called either Virginia scuffing or 52 blocks or jailhouse rock. However, we've managed to find several books written by several people, mostly by journalists. So again, journalists do that stuff and we are grateful for that, but journalists are not scientists. That's why actually the task of me researching this issue, it was pretty complicated, I would stand as. And the very first book I personally read was the book The TAO of 52. Well, the story is pretty simple. I've purchased this book on Amazon.com, so everything's official. I paid money for this book. That's why, this is the reason I have it here, and I can discuss certain contents of this book. First of all, I would like to tell you that this is not only journalist's work, but this is also the work of a person who tried to research some pieces of information. And right in the very beginning, he says that researching 52 is extraordinarily complicated task, because in the very beginning of 21st century, there merely was no information, just several pieces. And these pieces were shared by people fighting in streets. So this is so common, well, not just like prison fighting style, no, this is also street fighting style. This is some sort of mixture. And this mixture totally has to be researched. That's really strikingly interesting story. Again, Discovery of the Lost Science. This is the second title or subtitle of this book. I was actually so much admired by this title because I wanted to find out the truth. I wanted to see the way the person, the author of this book, tried to discover the truth, tried to trace certain actually points, tried to find out the ancestors who share this heritage known today as 52 blocks. But well, I was a little bit dissatisfied personally. I was a little bit dissatisfied with the fact that this is a pretty small book, like 46 pages. It's like a small brochure. But again, thank you for that brochure too. At least I can read something. I like personally the approach of the author, because the author told the reader in the very beginning, he tells in the introduction that actually he managed to collect certain pieces of information by speaking and communicating to the others, to masters, to practitioners of 52. And certain stories that are presented in this book are merely the stories collected from different people living in different corners of the USA. Well, the very first issue I would definitely discuss with you, dear ladies and gentlemen, is connected with historical background. Well, the history that's described here, that's, let me say, pretty weird type of narration. From the one hand, I totally respect the author of the book, and I'm grateful to the fact you have presented this history. It's really great. But on the other hand, please listen attentively. I'm the scientist. I'm the person with specific logic. And the scientific logic requires us to stand certain conclusions on the basis of verification. So, for instance, scientists cannot claim that, for instance, 52 comes from Africa simply due to the fact it looks somewhat African. We cannot claim something without verification, without documents, without treatises, without artifacts, without pictures, and so on, so on, and so forth. Sometimes, well, for journalists, for private researchers, for people who are interested for themselves, they do not possess, they do not require any verifications. They're just interested. But me personally, I'm not the person who is just interested. I'm the scientist. That's why I have to be very, let me say, correct, very accurate in my words, and especially accurate in my conclusions. So the very first thing that actually I tried to find out in this book was some sort of verification background or documentary basis or some links to some documents, videos, I don't know, something that we could have a look, compare, contrast, and provide any conclusion. Unfortunately, I haven't found here any links, any verification links or anything like this. I've read a very interesting narration or story about 52 that actually could be traced back to Numidian ancestors living in Africa who were enslaved, and then they were, let me say, delivered as slaves to USA, especially to southern states like Texas and so on and so forth. And then slavery was over in the USA. These people were released and they didn't know what to do, but they remembered their outstanding, let me say, martial art, this essential or authentic native martial art, and after that they committed several crimes. They went to prison, out of prison to the streets, and this is some sort of mixture that finally produced Jailhouse Rock and 52 Blocks. Well, the most strange point for me in this narration is in the fact that how come the person who lives in slavery for more than 100 years, he is humble, he is working with, he is implementing simple tasks, he is loading someone, he is collecting cotton on plantations, he is doing very, let me say, ordinary daily routine work. And then suddenly, after 100 years, we see that this person reveals his full potential. And he suddenly remembers that his ancestors from Africa, they were great warriors. He is very, let me say, consistent on his path of warrior, and this path of warrior helps him to share his knowledge with his brethren and sisters. Well, this actually sounds pretty weird, and moreover, this type of version, this is Persian just, this type of version, it's not verified. We cannot say this is true, and we cannot say this is totally false, because this is nothing we can check up and we can see and we can show. This is correct because, you can read it over here, you can find it over there, and many scientists or some other people are talking about it over here. Unfortunately, we do not have this information. That's why, for me, personally, this book, it was interesting. I like this book, sure. Thank you so much for the code or codex of warrior. Thank you for certain states and exclamations helping one to penetrate and to feel that fighting culture. Like, your work is to discover your work and then with all your heart give yourself to it. It's very motivation, it's great motivation, I like it really. But unfortunately it didn't help me to produce some scientific conclusions, or at least scientific background or something like this. And secondly, I tried to find out 52 blocks, like 52 technical elements. Unfortunately, this book is not about 52 technical elements. This is about philosophy, this is about some historical background, this is about certain rules of streets, rules of fire, rules of impulse that drives the person, that helps him to learn 52 blocks and to practice it. So it's kind of philosophical, historical narration. And, well, from this viewpoint, maybe someone may find this book attractive and really informative and interesting. But it has nothing to do with the objective and correct original story of 52 blocks, simply due to the fact that one cannot find any verification of author's viewpoint. By this, I'm not going to claim that D.Frazier has made good or bad job, that this is good or bad book. It's neither good nor bad. This is pretty interesting brochure for one to get acquainted with 52 blocks. And personally for me, this book was not about the answers, this book was all about the questions. You've helped me to formulate several questions, and actually you pushed me to look through many websites, many books, many interviews, demonstrations, and lots of video materials, booking, and so on and so forth. And I'm especially grateful to the fact that this book helped me, it served me as trampoline to finding out the other books, to finding out the other viewpoints. But unfortunately, it didn't help me as scientist to find out the answers to the questions. However, more questions appeared on my way of studies and research. And secondly, or this is not second, this is number 3, well, actually, I like the way you've presented a certain atmosphere of contemporary 52. This warrior salute, these exclamations, the words of praise, the words of other masters, like, Muhammad Ali even is here, even though he's not the practitioner of 52, but still. Again, this book is very good book for someone who have never heard about 52 blocks and he just wants to find out something about 52. But again, let me be emphatic. From the scientific viewpoint, this is definitely not the book, not the research for scientific approach of research. Because we cannot find any documents here, we cannot find any verification facts or verification points. And again, this book is good for posing, for making one structurize his mind and produce questions. But this is not the book about the answers. However, TAO of 52 is the book that you can purchase today. And this book actually helped me to find out some practitioners, some masters, to speak to them, to watch their demonstrations. But this is it. This is just that very thing that pushed me to move on, because my main conclusion was, thank you for the book, I didn't find the answers, I found out that this is non-scientific book, it contains certain versions, some versions are pretty interesting. That's why I should say that for the very beginning of studies, this book is informative, but it pushes the scientist and the scholar for finding some other materials, for finding the real answers to the questions. So by this, let me finish this small monologue, and I am glad to welcome you on our online marathon dedicated to the research results of 52 questions and 52 blocks. And let me be emphatic that this research is conducted by Dr. Oleg Maltsev, who is a worldwide known martial art practitioner. He is the person who is exclusively professional in the field of research of criminal traditions, because he has researched it for more than 20 years. And this week we are going to present you the results of the research of Dr. Maltsev. So stay tuned, stay in touch with us, watch videos on our official page in Facebook, 52 Questions to 52 Blogs. And furthermore, we are going to produce the book pretty soon. You will see this book both in the English language and in the Russian language. So by this, let me please thank you so much for your kind attention, and see you soon.